it was weird, and I kept like seeing people, and like the sounds were like so loud and stuff, and like there was like people that were biking past us, and like they were like, ooh, like they're like, ooh, you guys smoking weed? And I was like, keep driving, keep going. And so then we like cross the road, and then we go into the mall after, and we're like walking around in the mall, right? And I feel so bad, but like at first, like I was having like these moral dilemmas about like I was having these moral dilemmas about like, don't think about people, like don't be thinking about people. And I was like being pretty talkative, but then I was like didn't want to be talkative, so then I was like not. And then we kept going, and I got a drink and they got food. And I was like, I'm not spending my money. And so then we're like walking back to like get picked up from the bus, and because it's getting night, like it's getting dark out, right? Well, it was pretty much dark out. Yeah, it was fully dark at that point. But the sunset, like we got to see like a part of the sunset, and it looked like bluish green. It was pretty, but it was like normal, it was chill. And then like fucking we're walking through the mall at this point, and like fucking we saw like these like cool vintage candy shops like while we were walking by, and I was like whoa, but I was still going through these moral dilemmas with people and shit. But people seemed like way more anxious than me. Like I was like, why do you guys keep fucking staring at me? And I was like, and I came to the conclusion that if I don't like pay attention to them and shit, then they're like, it doesn't matter, right? So we kept going, and then we like passed by this like Christmassy area, and it was really pretty, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, wait. And so then we're like looking and then I see like fucking this Santa that was sitting down, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, it's Santa. And I was like, that's like a mummy, or not a mummy, sorry. It was like this, it was Santa, but like it was just like a life-size, like, I guess, puppet of Santa to me. And I was just like, holy shit, that's really like, because I was looking at him, and I was just like, that's like a fake Santa. But then I was like looking at him, and I was like, shit, that's really realistic. And then it started moving, and then I was just like, holy shit. And I was like, that's like a really like, I was like, is this AI? Like in my fucking mind, I felt like I was brainwashed at that point, because I was like, that's not a real Santa. I was like, that's fucking AI. Like an artificial, like I was like, is that a hologram? To my friend, and they're like no, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. But they were like saying, no, that's not. And I was just like, then what is it? I was like, is that just a robot then? And I was like, is that an animatronic Santa? And they were like, and then they're like, no, that's a real Santa. And then I was like, what are you talking about? And I'm fucking looking at him, and he's like moving, and he's sitting in his, and he like, I guess he sat up from his chair to pull his Santa pants up or something, and then he like sat back down, and like the movements looked like electronic to me, and I was like, that's like fucking AI. I was like, how is that just a robot Santa? Like, or like I was like, how is that just like a like a mechanical animatronic like Santa. That's AI. Because it's too high definition. And they're like, no, it's a real fucking, it's a fucking person. And then I'm like, what? I'm like, that's not a real Santa. And I was talking so fucking loud. that the Santa probably heard because we were right by him. And like, I was like, what? And then she's like, that's a real person, dude. And then I was just like, really? And then I just like look at him again. Like I keep looking at him and then I'm like, oh my god, that is a real Santa. I was like, he is real. And then he like looks over at us and then I didn't even like smile or anything and I feel bad because I would have, and then I like in like a millisecond in my mind when we were turning to leave, I was like, damn, I just like didn't even say hi to fucking Santa. And so then when we were walking like to the door, I was like, dude, I wish I said hi to him, like, and like was friendly, because I just fucking probably made him feel bad and like if he wasn't a person. And then I was just like, but I actually thought that it was fucking not a real Santa, and I was like, why the fuck did I think that it was AI, like a robot person? And they're like, I don't know. And I was just like, okay. And so then we go outside and we're like waiting for this bus to come, and my friend was like, knew how to take the bus system, even though they never really, I don't think they ever took the bus before here. Maybe they did before, I don't know. But like, they could just like find the stuff on Google so fast, and I was like, how'd you know to look for this and this? And they're just like, I don't know, because it's like it's like you just know. And I was like, what the fuck? And so we're waiting at the bus stop and there's like a bunch of fucking people, and then we like go like kind of a little bit away because like we're like, our town is fucking sketchy. And there was like this like, I didn't look at their faces, but I was looking at this like ginger person, or no, you weren't looking at them, but we were like near them, and they kept like screaming and yelling and stuff, and then they like broke this like Starbucks Frappuccino bottle. And then my friend was like, that ginger bitch just broke this bottle. And then I was like, fuck. I was like, dude, what if, like, I was like, and I kept like thinking that I was hearing them talking about us, like saying like, that's it, I'm gonna get them, that bitch or something. And so I thought they were gonna come up to us and jump us or something. And so then we moved closer to them to show them that we weren't the threats. And so we like stepped like in the area where they like were just like right beside that bottle that was broken. And then like there was this other lady, this random fucking lady that was drunk that was there, and they like didn't want to stand by us, so then they move over, and then we move over because we're like really cold. And then I like go up to this lady and I'm like, do you think it's colder out here, or do you think it's, or I was like, do you think it's warmer out here or under the shelter there? And like I had to repeat my question like 6 times to her, and then she's like, oh, it's warmer out here. And so I was like, oh, she says it's warmer out here, dude. And then so we're just standing and waiting for this bus to come. And so then we're like, fuck it, like this is sketchy. So then we go across the street to Burger King, and we're in there now. And then we're sitting there and we call this taxi to come and pick us up. And then he's like, it was taking him so long to answer on the phone. Or like, I couldn't even understand what he was saying on the phone. So like, then he's like, it's gonna be 10 minutes. And I was like, okay, it's gonna be 10 minutes, dude. And so we're waiting in there. And then we're like talking about something, and fucking, we see someone from our old town there. Like, that was on like this wrestling team with us, one of the parents and the kid, and like we were there, and I was like, dude, like they're like, I was like, who are those people? Because I was like I guess I made fun of him or something because he kept looking over at us. And then I was like, that dude looks funny. I was like, look at that guy's hair. And then she's like, yeah, we know him. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, I'm like, don't you know who he is? And then I look over and I'm like, oh my god, it's that people from the thing. And then she's like, yeah, I thought you knew when we walked in and we were just deciding not to talk about him or talk to him. And so then we ended up having like a full-on conversation about them, like right in front of them when they were in the store, and we didn't give a shit. Like, but like, in hindsight, I wouldn't have fucking done that. And then we're like, oh shit, what time is it? And they're like, and I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, I got a bunch of missed calls from the taxi guy that he's here. And so then we go outside and he's been sitting there. And I was like, oh fuck. So then we're like on the phone with this guy still, because he's like, we answer his call. And he's like, yeah, I'm in the blue taxi. And then fucking, I didn't hang up the phone, and I just said to my friend, I'm like, let's both sit in the back, okay? And they're like, but I don't want to sit in the back. And I was like, but I want to sit in the back. I'm calling the back. And then I see that I didn't hang up the phone, and he's still on the phone. And so then we go in, and I'm like, oh shit. And so then we're like in there, and I'm like, hello. And then we like are just there, and fucking he like pulls out, and then he's like listening to like this Drake song, and I was like, oh, this is really good music. And I was saying it so like weird. I was saying it like fucking, I don't know, it was just like super stupid. I was like, this is really nice music. I like this song, to this guy, and he's like, thanks. And he's like trying to act cool. And then what happened? And then I was like, could we turn up the music in here? And then he like turned it up pretty loud. And so we're driving back, and like then I was like, I almost asked the guy if I could like put down the windows, like turn down the windows so I could like look outside better. But then I was like, I stopped myself, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna fucking do that. And then like I was making jokes in the thing, but like he wasn't really laughing at them. But my friend was like talking back to me about them, and I don't know why, but in my head I was like, I feel bad. Like I want this guy to know, like to feel included and to laugh at my jokes. So, and then like I just said something, and he's like, oh okay. And then I was like, oh, can we turn up the music again immediately? After stopping talking, and then he's like, okay. I was like, oh, this is good music. And then I was like, I was like sitting in the back, and I was like dancing to the music in the back, and then I just started laughing. I just started laughing at myself like creepy. And like, and so then we get there, and I was like, thank you. You have a great night, sir. And so then we leave. Because he's like, where do you want me to drop you off? I'll drop you off here. And then I was like, no, can you like, no, because we want to be just dropped off further so we can like have a scenic view while we walk back home, please. And then he's like, okay. And then I kept like explaining, I'm like, yeah, it's just we're trying to enjoy the night, and it's really nice weather out, so we want to like have a nice little scenic view while we walk back. And like it was and then he's like, okay, where? And then I was like, okay, just drop us off here. And it was like in this random parking lot. And so then we're walking through this giant parking lot, and like oh, this is nice. And then what happens? And then we get back home. Yeah, we get back, and we're like, it's chill at that point. And then I'm like, oh my god, dude, I got an A&W root beer and I'm like slowing down at this point, but then I realized that like fucking I left my drink in this taxi's vehicle and I'm like, fuck. And I was like, dude, that was like a perfectly good drink and like I spent $3.70 on it. Horribly. And fucking like who pays that much for one fucking drink? Like that's fucked, right? And so, and it wasn't even fucking good. It was just like a fucking bottled iced tea brisk thing. And like, but yeah, when we went back, it was like, I was like, okay, I'll just have a root beer in my fridge. So then I'm drinking this root beer, and then we're like, we put on Dumb and Dumber, the movie, and it was like so weird. Like, because I was like,